Hey all friends, welcome to the channel. Bob here, and I just thought I would do a bit of a video just discussing a couple of topics that have come up on my videos and on the forums and whatnot. I'm doing this basically in, where are we? We're basically in Kenos Hills, which is probably my favourite zone in the game, I would say. So a nice view of the sun going down and moon coming up, etc. So this video is kind of a couple of things. First of all, probably the most important thing I think is that I've had some queries about, what is the green server? What are they trying to do? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think they're trying to do. If any devs are watching this, then please correct me. That would be excellent. But my idea, from what I've read in the past, etc., is that they always wanted to do a server following the classic timeline. And that wasn't what Blue was. I think Blue was almost not an experiment. I think Blue was kind of is and will always be classed as the main server. But I think Blue was working towards being able to create a server that followed the timeline. So Blue's been going for 10 years now, I guess, roughly. And I think it took between 7 and 8 years. Was it? I can't remember when Velios came out exactly, but it took 7 to 8 years to get to the point where it was kind of finished for what is regarded as a classic timeline, I guess. And so during that period, it was it was getting everything in place, I think, to then be able to do like a server that followed the timeline, because the timeline between Everquest being released in 1999 and Velios coming out is only like around 18 months. It's less than 2 years. So obviously a lot happened in a very short space of time. Cunard came out pretty much less than a year later from the classic release, I think, and then Velios came out after that. So, and all that happened within 2 years. And that's not what happened on Blue. Obviously, so Blue is it's a server where it took a long time for Cunard to come out, and then again it took much longer for Velios to come out with regards to the original timeline. So I think what Green, as I said, I could be wrong, but I think Green is something that they've been working towards. So it's going to be a server that follows that follows the timeline. So expansions will be coming out when they came out originally within the timeline. I'm not sure if I've explained that well, but anyway, that's as far as I'm aware, that's what it is. I think the other topic is with regards to, and this is almost something that comes up when talking about older MMOs. I think, particularly from this era, this period, and that is like, how classic do you want them? So, for example, like the night vision thing for human races or races that don't have a night vision, just too dark is basically what some people are saying, and that there is no need really to have these. I might get attacked by this Knoll Scout just walking into view, in which case completely spoil the mood. Although I think I did invis myself, but I'm not sure if I'm still invised. But we're about to find out. But anyway, it's I have to say, like, for me personally, if you're gonna release a classic Everquest server that's going to stick to the timeline, then it feels pointless to me to then put things into the game within. Obviously there are some things that you can't do because you haven't got the code, or you can't confirm what it was like or what it wasn't like. Things like if a spell was broken for a year after release, should you keep that spell broken? I personally think no. But things like vision, and you're going to see this happen as the sun goes down, it gets darker. It was part of the experience of playing a human race, a race that didn't have night vision. It was part of the experience. It was added to me personally, added to the gameplay. I'm just going to cough, so I'm just going to cover the mic for a sec. Sorry about that. Yeah, so for me personally, it added to the experience. When I didn't make it clear yesterday, but when I was playing and it was dark yesterday, and I was saying it was dark, it wasn't a criticism. It was adding to the experience. I felt that it's a different type of experience because, at the end of the day, you can just play. You can just play a class, a race, I should say, that has night vision, and then it kind of solves your problem. And but I think that it's a feature, and it's a feature that adds to the experience if you want to play a race that doesn't have night vision. And I think the same goes for things like the UI, in-game maps. I personally don't see the point in creating the green server and then putting in things that make it more I was going to say not more attractive to a larger audience, but just and I guess dumbing down the experience. That's maybe not the right term either, because some people just view these things as annoyances, and changing them wouldn't be dumbing down the experience. I don't think that they should change the experience to make it more accessible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I feel that if you're going to do a green server and you want to follow the timeline and you want to make it as classic as possible, then these features should be in the game. And the thing is if you don't want it, you just go and play on blue. You can play on blue, don't accept help from anyone, don't accept any buffs, and you can, pretty much get a similar experience. Because ultimately, and again, I'm pretty sure that this is the case, ultimately, after they've reached, when they've reached, shortly after they've reached the end of the timeline, the characters on green are going to be merged with blue. So if that's something you didn't know, that's also going to happen. And I think green will just kick off again, so it will start fresh again. So you can keep going in these endless loops of classic EverQuest if you want to do that, and that's something that I will probably be doing. So starting on blue and trying to have that experience it's not as stupid as it sounds, because your green character will end up on blue at some point anyway. So so that's kind of how I feel about it. I just feel that I even feel slightly weird about saying like a spell that was broken should be fixed. I kind of feel that if they decided to do that, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it. But that maybe makes a bit more sense. But things like the UI, the night vision, all those kind of things, they do add to the game. And I have to say that the game, it did add to the game yesterday. Because I think, as I said, I can see a line of erudites just back against the wall near the guards at night, and just warily pulling, carefully trying to pull a mob, from out of the darkness to a safe spot. And that's fine, that is part of the experience. I struggle with the idea of wanting to change that just to make it more accessible. I don't think they should, but that's just my opinion. I just think that they're going for a certain thing, and they've always been going for it. It's not a particularly brilliant comparison, but I think that it feels a bit like someone saying they're trying to recreate a classic Mini Cooper, and then when the classic Mini Cooper is released, you then kind of complain about the fact that it's too low to the ground, the suspension's rubbish, it's hard to get into because it's too small. Well, that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to recreate that experience. So that's my personal opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own, and everyone's entitled not to play green. But I think that, as I said, just to sum up, I think that if you're releasing a server and you're following the classic timeline and you want it to be as classic as possible, then you shouldn't then just change. You shouldn't change some of classic's quirks, to make it more accessible to more people. I don't think you should do that. But anyway, that's it. I just thought I would. I'm sure none of you particularly care, but I just thought I would address and give my opinion on some of those things. Hope to see you on green. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I've just created a troll shaman and I'm in a full swamp, and this is a class with, I think there are two levels of night vision. I think dark elves have ultra vision, or maybe I'm thinking of old D&D, and I think the other races with the night vision kind of have what you would call an infravision. I think, I'm not sure if that's correct, but I'm sure there are two levels, and this is the standard level, non-dark elf level. I think some classes get spells later on to give you the best vision, but as you can see, even with some night vision, it's very dark. And I have to say, and if you weren't convinced before, you're still not going to be convinced. Like, I love this. Like, I'm looking out into the swamp, and there's just a feeling of trepidation and danger. You know, there's stuff out there, I can't see it. It's just going to kill me. And my body's corpse is going to be lost forever, you know. And I know that some people will hate that, but I personally like it. And this Froglock Tad is now going to spoil the mood and come up and attack me. Even I think I'm near some guards, so maybe we'll be okay. I might even go as far as to turn off the name tags if I can when I start playing on green, because yeah, that's going to be a cool experience. Like, not being able to see the mob names at night in front of you. Yeah, I might do that. Anyway, I just thought I would show you. I have to confess, on OBS it looks much darker than it looks darker than it is. So I can see those trees clearer than I can see them on OBS. So OBS is exaggerating it a bit, but it's still quite dark. But I like it. I kind of like what they've done personally. But you know, and I just wanted to add another point that I forgot to mention on the previous part of the video about changing things that people find annoying to make more accessible. You could pretty much say that about every game, and I could say it about games that I'm currently playing. You know, so I think of Project Gorgon, Shroud of the Avatar, games that I've played recently that I'm really enjoying, like Legends of Aria, and even Worm Online. You know, there are things in Worm Online that I could compare to annoyances in classic Everquest, where I thought to myself, why have they done this? You know, this is stupid. It would be so much easier to do this instead. This just feels like either poor game design or, yeah, just doing it to be it's just done for frustration's sake. So I think if you're going to make those arguments against Everquest, you've also got to make those arguments against games that we're currently playing as well. So yeah, that was another point that I kind of wanted to make. But anyway, yes, this is now the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Or is it? Is it the end of the video? Did you leave the video this long? Did you wait to see if there was another section, another bit at the end? Well, there's not. But this now really is the... I think this is now the end of the video. It's the end.